Let's edit a photo together. If you feel like your Milky Way edits don't really pop, I get it. It goes exactly the same for me until I edited hundreds of shots and actually realized what works and what doesn't. So today we'll just edit a photo together using simple software, Sequador, Photoshop and Lightroom. So you can see the complete workflow, follow along and start getting edits that pop. Let's start with the quick plan. I will first stack in Sequador, then edit the sky in Photoshop, and finally use Lightroom to edit the foreground a bit, and then Photoshop to blend the sky in the foreground. And I just want to briefly mention that I don't follow a really strict workflow when editing, because I feel it's really important to have the freedom to use different techniques at different times. So I might want to do a very specific thing with my edit. For example, make the Milky Way more contrasting. But there are multiple ways to do that. So instead of having a rigid workflow and having to just do a specific action to make the Milky Way more contrasty, I know I can just use any of the techniques I have in my technique toolbox and just use the best one for that specific situation. So this is a way to edit a photo and not the way to edit a photo, this whole workflow I will show you. If your image is different for some reason and something I show doesn't work, you can of course use a different method and get a similar result. And if you want my personalized help to get better at editing, check the first link in the description below. Anyway, let's start. I will just drag and drop all the images of the sky in Sequador. Okay, I opened the images of the sky in Sequador. I will do the same for darks. And flat frames too. And flats are called vignetting images in Sequador. Same thing. Assign an output. Let's do stacked. And let's do the settings. Select best pixels to strict because it's a tracked shot. I anyway don't need the foreground. I will replace it with a different foreground I took by just lowering the camera and capturing the foreground with different settings. So in case you are not tracking and you are using the same sky and foreground from the same shot, you can use the freeze ground setting here. Anyway, let's select the sky region, which should be simple. And yeah, this image has kind of a weird rock formation, the foreground. So it is a bit tricky to move around at formation and mask the sky. If, for example, I accidentally include some of that, I can just right click with the brush and just deselect that. And this selection here doesn't have to be perfect. I just do the best rushed job I can. Okay. Yeah, looks good. Okay. And let's start this. It will just take a few seconds. My PC is fast enough. So after I stack the sky, I want to try a feature of Sequador, the light pollution, reduce light pollution. I call it light pollution correction. And to do that, I will just close and open Sequador again. I will drag and drop the image, the stacked image in Sequador, and send an output. I'll do LPC, okay. And then reduce light pollution, double click it to enable it, and I'll go towards the weak side. That's because usually in Sequador that's too strong and it gives kind of a weird result with the horizon. Now, with this image here, to be honest, I don't know what to expect with the horizon because we have so many artifacts, but let's see. I usually don't stack in Segoder, so I don't use this feature. I just use a similar feature in PixInsight. But yeah, this is actually a nice result. So let's open both these images in Photoshop. Okay, and there are many ways to blend this, as I mentioned, but I think, yeah, let me put the LPC layer on top. Looking at this, I feel like if I blend them in a gradient way, so just create a gradient like that, I feel like this light pollution around the artifacts will be a problem. So I think I should blend them by only adding the Milky Way on top. So I just pressed L and it selected this polygonal lasso tool. So just press L, or if you get a different lasso tool with L, just go there and select the polygonal lasso, and I'll just select around the Milky Way. So something like this and up, and basically include the Milky Way in the selection. Now I will create a mask out of that. And you'll notice, yeah, the brightness is a bit different. I will first feather the mask, but still the brightness is very much different between the two layers. So I'll create a curves layer on top and clip it to the layer below, which is the LPC. And to clip it, you just hover between the two layers, and having Alt pressed on your keyboard, or for Mac the equivalent of Alt, you just click and you see this arrow here for the clip. You can also right click on the layer, and there is clip somewhere here that I never use, so I don't know the exact location. You figure out where it is, you'll find it easily. But yeah, now I just increased the brightness a bit, maybe a bit too much. Yeah, okay, so now they match the brightness of the background and the brightness of the LPC Milky Way, or light pollution corrected Milky Way. I will add another curves layer for the background. Just apply a small S-curve. Yeah, I think this makes the selection a bit better. So now, or the selection, the blending a bit better, that's what I meant. Now I'll merge the two, Control-Shift-E, merges everything, and I will stretch a bit. So stretching is basically playing with the histogram. This here is a histogram. Playing with this to give more contrast to the image. And in general, we actually want to stretch a histogram. So let me demonstrate. I get a levels layer, and like, let me first demonstrate here. Look at this rock, this artifact from the rock. You can see some information there, but if I move the burning point of the darks closer to the middle of the histogram, we lose information in the rock. Now, we don't care about the information in the rock because it's just a rock that we will replace anyway with replacing the foreground. But you can see that the sky becomes more contrasty as well. So yeah, something like that I feel is the best starting point. And we can also move the brights. Just make sure you don't overexpose anything. Yeah, just move them brights like that. And now we got a lot more contrast in the Milky Way. Just look at the before and after. Like, it's a huge difference. So let me center everything because Photoshop is not cooperating. But yeah, I will even push it to something like this. And now I can just add a slight decrease in the shadows. Yeah, something like that. Also, let me add a levels layer just to make sure the RGB channels are somewhat aligned. Yeah, I think I just need to burn some of the information of the red. So let me explain what I did here. You can see the whole histogram is placed here, the whole data. For the green and then blue, it's about at the same place. For the red, it was a bit further towards the right. So by burning some of the data from the red, I now aligned every channel or aligned the histogram of every channel. And this is called neutralizing. You can easily do it with other ways too, like in dedicated Astro software. But this was just a simple way to align the channels. And this will now let me, if I merge everything and go to camera raw filter, first I want to remove the chromatic aberrations here. So a bit of a tangent, a bit of a detour, but I will demonstrate the color balance too in a bit. Yeah, just that, okay, perfect. And now let me demonstrate the color balance. I will just increase this, the vibrance and saturation, make the sky background bluish and the tint basically adjusted until the edge and some points in the Milky Way are magenta and the rest is blue. If I move it too far, everything becomes green. If I move it too far to the opposite side, to magenta, everything becomes to magenta. So this for me looks promising, and then I will just reset the vibrance and saturation and look away for a minute, just because I have to adjust my eyes again to the desaturated look, but I will increase the vibrance and saturation anyway. Yeah, something like that. And yeah, neutralizing basically let me create this color balance. It's not mandatory, but it's nice to neutralize or try to neutralize a bit the sky. It doesn't really matter for Milky Way shots. For deep sky stuff, it's a lot more complicated and you have to neutralize. For Milky Way, it's simple. You don't really have to think about it, but if you want, you might as well just do it. And you can see the channels here are not perfectly aligned, but it doesn't really matter. Now, it's time to edit the foreground a bit and combine everything. But before that, I just want to sharpen the sky a bit. So filter, other, and high pass. I also copied the layer. If I didn't, it will mess up the whole thing. You'll see why. High pass, and yeah, just select the radius that selects detail, the Milky Way. Like I think 60 something is okay. Now, yeah, if I didn't copy the layer, this will be my photo now. But since I copied the layer, I have the original and this new selection on top. And I just come to the blending mode and select soft light. You can see this sharpened actually a lot the Milky Way. That's nice. I feel like it's too much. I might decrease opacity a bit. Yeah, see, big difference. So Control Shift E merges everything. Control Shift S, and I will do edit just to have the backup sky if something goes wrong. And now I just want to find the foreground. Yeah, that's the one I will use. You can see a lot of bad things happen while capturing it. But yeah, I will use this one. Let me quickly open it in Lightroom and come back. Here it is. The first thing I will do is go to detail and apply some noise reduction. I will do them. There is a new feature in Lightroom, raw detail, and then the noise. I've been using it for like a few days now. It's a relatively new feature. So yeah, let's take a look. That's overdone. Maybe decrease the noise, maybe a bit more. I just want to see a bit of noise. Yeah, like that. Maybe, I don't know if increasing this will make a noticeable difference. But yeah, I think this looks okay. I will now go to the lens correction tab and enable the lens corrections. And don't mind this, I will remove them in Photoshop in a bit. I just want to go to the basic tab and reduce the highlights and increase the shadows. Maybe not so much, maybe like this. And yeah, I added a bit of texture and clarity without overdoing things. I might go to the detail and sharpen a bit everything. So I like going to the masking slider, pressing Alt. This lets me actually see what's getting sharpened, and I can now increase the amount slider. I don't want to sharpen the foreground too much now, so just use 15. Now I'll just edit it in Photoshop. First, I just press J, and you see it's the remove tool, the spot healing brush tool, and I'll just brush over the tripods here to get rid of them. And this guy here, one of the workshop attendees. I won't really use this part of the image anyway, but I wanted to remove those. So now I will unlock the layer, copy it, go to filter, or first I will select the sky, and you will see why in a bit. It's just to remove the stars from the image. So with the sky selected, I just press Alt on my keyboard and create the mask. I'll go to selected mask now and actually increase the contrast and just feather and smooth it a bit. So this should make it a smoother mask. Now on the original layer, I'll go to filter, noise, dust and scratches. Just use a radius that gets rid of everything. Yeah, like that, for example. You'll see there are some things wrong now over the horizon. So I'll control T, and yeah, I will just make this bigger and hide everything. Yeah, like that. Just make sure there are no artifacts. I mean, you can do it in a better or more, let's say, realistic way instead of just making them a background layer larger, but I just want to keep things simple. But if you wanted to do it in a more realistic way, you could just go around the whole thing and like remove the artifacts with puppet wrap and everything. I created a video with that technique in my program a few days ago. If you want to take a look at my whole program and that video, there is the link below. But yeah, that's, I think, a nice starting point. I'll go to filter and camera raw just to, change the color balance and the general settings a bit. Go a bit bluer and greener, maybe. Let me increase the vibrance too, saturation. Okay, maybe the exposure a bit, more contrast. Yeah, that's a nice starting point. And now I'll go back to the sky. I'll crop out like this and just with the move tool with V, I think you get it. So yeah, V is a shortcut for this. Just press it, you get the move tool, and I just moved the file from this image here, from this file, the image from this file to the other one, drag and drop, and yeah, just do this, simple, and you end up with something like this. Now we have to somewhat align these two. I think, yeah, something like that. We'll also copy this layer and do the same thing as before. So select sky and reverse the selection or invert the selection to create a mask. So press Alt and let's make sure everything is okay with the selection. Yeah. Now I make the layer below appear again and I create a mask. With G, you select a gradient basically. If you didn't get the gradient tool, it's here, you can select it yourself and just make sure it's a linear one. And yeah, or just do something like this. Now let me crop first, and the reason I crop now is so I don't have to edit the rest of the image that will be cropped anyway. But yeah, something like that. And now because I can see the artifacts there, I will just, I think I will crop a bit more like this and move the sky downwards a bit. So Control T, let me transform the sky. Yeah, something like that to avoid having to deal with the artifacts. Also, I see that there is something wrong with the gradient here. No, it's not the gradient, maybe it's this. Get brush with B and 100% flow, like that. Wait, B for brush, X to make it black, and you can see the color right here. I will make it smaller, brush here, and then click Shift, brush on the other side. Yeah, I don't know if you could see it, but now I can't see it too, so I can't see it too. So yeah, I got rid of that line there. Let me see. Okay, I also want to make this layer more saturated and more yellowish to match the actual light pollution there. So color balance and saturation layers should fix that. Yeah, like this. Okay, that looks good to me. I will merge everything and copy this layer. I'll go to image, apply image, and let me do it again to show you the settings. Apply image, that's the settings I use. Just use the same. You know this, or experiment. And I just press screen. This basically makes the bright parts brighter in the image. So yeah, that's a nice natural looking image, to be honest. I might play with luminosity mask too. I have this one here, any luminosity mask works. I just like to use this one. It's free, you can download it. It's TK luminosity mask. So yeah, I'll select something like this. So 3 in my case for the darks. And now I have a selection with just the darks that I can increase or decrease. I think a slight increase works best in this case. And yeah, this, you might even call it a complete image, to be honest, unless let's do a slight vignetting in Photoshop. So with the curves, I lower them just a random part of the curves, and I get this layer. Then go to G for gradient, and create a circular gradient here, and then just adjust it to make it fit my image. So no vignetting. Also, I'll decrease opacity. Let's do 63, why not? Yeah, something like that. So in just, how long? It's like half an hour of recording, I managed to edit this image in a way that the Milky Way pops, and then blending looks natural too. And the foreground pops a bit as well because of me holding the light with another workshop attendee. So that's it. That's a simple workflow you can use to edit your own images with free and affordable software. And if you want personalized help with editing, capturing the images, compositions and everything, just check the link in the description, the first link. And yeah, this video is a bit different than what I usually make. So if you like this kind of editing tutorial, just leave a comment below and let me know so I might do some more of those in the future.